There, we're live. Welcome to whatever we're calling this, the Godfrey Universe podcast, art talk, whatever it is. It's me, it's Dan. Josh couldn't make it tonight. Tonight we are with the one and only Tony James, or maybe the
Hey.
infamous. If I say the infamous Tony James, it does sound like you're a Western guy.
Yeah, yeah, the outlaw Tony James.
Yeah, go with that.
Yeah.
So, Tony here has got an awesome looking comic called Moonshine, which we'll get into in just a second. First of all, for the people who will listen to this later, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. It's running these campaigns is kind of like a marathon. I told Julius on his stream that it's like the spawn power meter always goes down
Oh,
every
yeah.
time I do one of these campaigns. So it's ticking down.
And unlike the spawn power meter, yours will actually be relevant to your story.
Yeah. 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 For
Well,
sure.
a little background. I met Tony because I saw him on a debate with another creator, and I had heard there was kind of like this drama or stink about Tony at the time, and I watched the debate and I was like, you know what? Actually, I agree with that guy on a lot of things. And the main thing was, and we don't have to get into all of this because this is a 4 hour discussion, but he stood firmly on there being an objective nature to art on some level, that there is a standard and that it's not just this milieu of everything is relative and the banana on the wall is art.
Hmm.
And to me, that's a brave statement. And Josh and I have been beating that drum for a while too. And to see someone else in the wild say it, I was like, okay, I do want to talk to this guy. And
Yeah.
we got to talking in DMs a little bit, and I was like, man, I think you were a little kind of guarded at first, and I was like, and then I quickly realized why you were a little guarded at first. But that's a lot of people you talk to in indie comics, and you realize, oh, they have a reason to be. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I'm glad we got to make this happen. But
Yeah. For sure.
I think that's really cool. I would like to hear some of your background, if you don't mind, artistically, like what really gets your noggin jogging.
Oh, when it gets my I mean, I've been writing. I mean, since probably like high school. And I used to do like plays that my friends would uh perform in. So I was always writing in some capacity. And then I went to college for filmmaking, and then realized how how expensive filmmaking is, and how bought and paid for the Hollywood system is. And I was, but I've also been like a comic reader the entire time. So I was like, oh, maybe we try to make comic books, because the comic book medium has its own methodology, but there are some carryovers, just from characters and its story arcs and emotional settings and whatnot. So I decided to try that. I did a comic called Reloader. It was a cyberpunk comic about a
Mm-hmm.
virtual reality bounty hunter, and that one did pretty well, enough to kind of suggest that I kind of might have a little bit of a knack for comic book making. So I just, ever since then, just, read everything I could about story structure, just trying to refine my craft, and make a better comic book every single time.
Well, that's what also fascinated me is I found your YouTube channel, The Writest,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and um again, that's another thing I kind of see dead in indie comics is talking the importance of writing, because, and I rightfully so understand that indie comics and comics in general are driven by artists. You can't make a comic without an artist.
Hmm.
But how the writer has been basically crapped on for for years, and I always say this whenever it comes to us, like if artists could write that well, they would, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
don't.
Hmm.
And of course, if I could draw as well, I would, and vice versa. But that's another thing that I feel like is a whole, especially in this medium. And I really enjoy that idea that you come from a different background, because Josh and I come from a music background and kind of like a prose background. And I really, really, really find it fascinating that you're talking about plays you had written, because that to
Hmm.
me, plays and poetry, and I think plays are even harder than poetry,
Hmm.
or kind of like the upper echelon of writing. I think if anyone tries to sit down and write something, the hardest thing you could probably try to write is a play.
Yeah. 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 Especially especially when you have actors who chop up your dialogue, and they make choices you didn't anticipate, and then you kind of have to like work arothat stuff.
Oh yeah,
But yeah.
and I think I find that fascinating. If you have a background in playwriting and screenwriting like that, like that, that I think should be enough for people to back your books, because how much of comic books is dialogue, and
Mhm.
how many writers can't write dialogue?
Yeah, it surprised the number of writers that feel like it's just as simple as putting two characters in a room and having them like shoot the breeze, and it's like it's a little more, it's a little more involved than that. There's more beneath the hood.
And it usually comes out it's just the writer's voice coming out of two different looking people.
Right. Yeah. I find that when I write dialogue, it's I'm hyper aware of trying not to make it sound like me. And I think that really just comes from really developing your characters, figuring out what their motivations are, what makes them tick, not just the things that are relevant to the plot, but how they who they are as characters, outside of the plot.
So talk about filmmaking. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, of course, but like what I know this is a stupid question. Like what got you into filmmaking? Well, like, well, it's watching movies, of course, but I guess what particular directors and particular genres and particular films?
I would have to say Christopher Nolan is probably like one of like the big filmmakers. I just like the idea of like high concept stuff.
Hmm.
This idea of like what you're seeing is not what you're really seeing. He did that. He did that with Inception really well. Like I liked this idea that it was just these just different layered worlds, but like at the same time, like each world was kind of this mundane thing, but like because of the concept, something as simple as like driving in a van or being in a hotel lobby was it meant so much more in concept of the story. And I like that idea that you could take something simple and kind of like flip it on its ear.
Yeah, I and not to get, like I said, not to keep pursuing a rabbit, but I think that Nolan found his voice in certain ways with that movie, because if you look at, because I look at my Twitter, I'm a huge Snyderverse fan,
Hmm.
of course, and I know that Nolan helped produce Man of Steel, and I think a problem people had with that movie is that it's a very Nolan movie with the
Hmm.
flashbacks and the way it cuts back and forth, and I think people lose attention, if I'm honest, and I think Nolan struggled with that a little bit until Inception, and he learned a lot. Like, okay, quicker cutbacks, more
Hmm.
simpler scenes that feel together. Like the way he structured that puzzle, and even had to even had to explain it to you how it worked.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, I think, when he reached his peak, not in filmmaking, but in articulating that kind of thought that he'd had before, that he'd kind of stumbled with a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that film, and I would say like Memento, and
Mm-hmm.
all more so the way that he explains Memento. There was some sort of behind the scenes thing where he kind of explained it on a chalkboard, how one part of the plot was moving in one direction and the other one was moving in a different direction. One of those kind of very like esoteric, very long winded explanations that only the writer
Yeah,
understands.
very
Um,
autistic.
yeah, yeah. He's clearly like spent like so much energy like putting that together. Yeah. So yeah, I just other he's not a filmmaker, but I really do admire his vision is Hideo Kojima, like with the
Mm-hmm.
Metal Gear stuff. I just really like creators that really go for it like creatively, like it really just like swing for the fence, almost to the point where it's like you as the reader or the audience member is just you're asking a lot of questions about like how the world works, not in a I'm lost kind of way, is that there's so much here, and like I kind of appreciate when the creator doesn't hold my hand too much and kind of lets me kind of absorb it, take it all in, just make sure that I'm not confused about the plot, but everything else they like let me question.
Oh yeah, and I think that is a beautiful thing that Kojima obviously does. I mean, that's you get lost in his world, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I just kind of like being here,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a, and maybe that is a cultural difference thing, but that's kind of a Japanese storytelling thing. And I think, again, like I feel like I could talk to you for like 4 hours on this kind of stuff. I don't want to eat your time up, but there's
That's all
not a
right.
lot of people you can talk to about this, especially. But the comics versus manga debate always goes for the superficial price point, color, da 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 da. Like, oh, you don't have to start with issue 50 or whatever. There's a fundamental difference between Eastern and Western storytelling. And
Yeah.
Kojima is a wonderful view of that. It's like there's something about, it's almost an impressionist view of how they view story and how they view world. It's like you're in it. You didn't know when you came into it, and nothing makes sense, but everything works. Like there's a
Yeah.
guy named Revolver Ocelot for some reason,
Yeah.
and it just
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I read somewhere the difference between the two storytelling styles between Japanese and Western is that one is about being there and the other one's about getting there. Like a
Okay.
Western is more plot focused. Like we have to kind of every scene has to be some pushing something forward. But in Japanese storytelling, it's like, well, sure, we are trying to get somewhere, but it's not always the main focus. Kind of absorbing the world kind of takes more centered stage.
That's a great way to view it. Maybe that's part of the oh gosh, what was the Shintoism? Maybe that's kind of maybe that kind of comes out of that idea. And
Hmm.
I know there's a little bit of Buddhism in Japan as well. But I heard everybody's favorite Studio Ghibli guy Miyazaki talk about that, where he
Hmm.
talks about like he just wants people to kind of enjoy the film as it is, like it's a pleasant experience, because he was
Yeah.
getting flack, I think, from Westerners about some of his stories not having plot, not having conflict. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
it's a work of art. Like sometimes it's just going to be food that looks great for some reason.
Yeah.
And and I don't know how much of an anime fan you are, but the description you just gave
Hmm.
basically describes Serial Experiments Lane, which is one of my favorite animes ever, where there's very, 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 very little plot. In fact, the plot could probably be, if it was on a page, it could probably be done in maybe 2 or 3 pages of a book.
Oh, oh wow.
But it's all these episodes stretched out, and you realize it's like, oh, like the aesthetic and the feeling is telling this plot, is part of this plot too.
Hmm.
And I really think that's something maybe older anime did perfectly. And I think you're a film guy. I think that's a lot of things that films were made to do, and then they kind of lost it very recently. Because when you watch older films in particular, like you're just immediately in a different world. It's
Yeah.
not like you're in our world and there's a plot happening. It's like, no, you're somewhere, something's happening, and it's foreign, but it's also familiar.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the films from like the 40s. That
Hmm.
very like stage play like nature, you know, because they didn't have all these cameras cutting back and forth, so you just had characters, you had actors just moving around a space. And the experience that it created was just like, yeah, I'm in this room with these actors as they're sort of trying to create a whole world for me.
Yeah, I think that's something that's definitely missing. I mean, I I'm not trying. I guess I'm not trying to go down too much, but I'm trying to develop more of a holistic view of life in general. Between the physical and the metaphysical, the spiritual and not. I'm a Christian, but I'm trying to understand a better way to view the world. And part of it is what I'm saying is I think one thing impacts everything, and everything impacts one thing. So
Hmm.
what you just said, the less cameras, the more place setting.
Hmm.
We also had different types of actors. They could broadcast their voices.
Hmm.
They could sing and dance. They could move. They could do different things. That once one thing changes, everything changes, and now we have a completely different type of actor and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I don't want to waste your time, but like
No,
I
we're all
love
good.
that.
You
Yeah,
were all good. No, don't worry
I
about it.
love that. I just love that. I think all art impacts all art too, and that's another thing that kind of bugs me about comics, especially indie comics, is
Mhm.
it's wonderful that people can read a billion comics. Like I'll see people like the whole wall and everything. But it's like my thing is if I see someone who only reads comics writing comics, like I'm gonna think their comics not great.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to read books without pictures in them, and in addition to the ones with pictures.
Yep, and film. I think music in particular as well. What's
Yeah.
up, BA? Hey, do you are
Hey.
you friends or close or whatever? You know BA Turner?
Yeah. Well, BA, actually, you and BA are pretty
Yeah.
close in the parasocial relationships that I have here. You guys kind of like emerged at the same time as supporters of Tony and his opinions.
Well, he's just in way better shape than I am.
Yeah.
No, if you haven't got it with BA, you should. I think you guys would hit it off, especially on the Nolan and film front. He's an interesting fella. He also gets a lot of flack. I stay out of it,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think you guys would hit it off. I have to have both you guys on.
Yeah. Yeah. Our brief interactions have been pretty good.
Yeah, he's a nice fella.
Yeah. Mhm.
Moving on, I do want to touch on this work and how it goes with everything. So Moonshine, I saw your talk with Julius, but I
Mhm.
want you to like let's give the spiel here for everybody who hasn't seen it yet. Before I play the preview, can you give me a basic rundown?
Yeah, so it's a Tombstone meets Aliens. This is about a retired outlaw who recruits his former posse to ride to the far side of the moon to repair a harvester that is the repair a reactor that's harvesting helium-3, which is a real element that is on the moon. It's created by the solar winds that have been pummeling the moon for billions of years. Scientists have said that like 200 pounds of helium-3 could power the city of Dallas for a year. It's very very powerful stuff, and it's probably our next big energy source. And when we go to the moon, that's probably one of the main things we're going to be mining for. So that would be a interesting entry point to create a western, and also like tell a love letter to all the westerns that I liked. I mentioned Tombstone, Red Dead Redemption is one of my favorite video games. I love The Wild Bunch, and even from a dialogue perspective, I really loved Deadwood, and even the way the Hateful Eight, the way that film was written, just from the dialogue in that movie really really impresses me. So really wanted to kind of bring all that stuff together. And then yeah, I studied a lot about the moon and how it works. There are four different types of moonquakes. You have 14 days of sunlight, 14 days of just total darkness. The temperature spikes between 250 degrees in the sunlight, and then at night it's negative 250 degrees. There are craters that never get sunlight ever. And just wanted to kind of create all these sort of challenges and obstacles for our rovers. So these are the outlaws, and as they ride to the far side of the moon to repair this harvester.
Now, see, that's awesome because that's exactly what a western is, and
Mhm.
that's really what space horror is too. Is kind of the old like man versus the environment.
Yeah.
Like that's really great that you've gone basically like the man versus desert route because that's almost like a lost part of westerns now. I
Yeah.
really dig that, man. That's really really cool.
Yeah.
I especially like the idea of combining. It almost I'm gonna play the trailer, of course, but from this and from the art I've seen and the story, it almost seems very pulpy.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. One of the books that I read for this when I was working on the script was the first Men in the Moon, the H.G. Wells book.
Hmm.
Um, I thought that one's got that one's a little campier for how, because given the time that it was written. But yeah, it was just basically like two men go on the moon, all these little aliens come out, and then they're brought in. It just kind of created this very mysterious sense of the moon and what it could be, and yeah, just kind of wanting to have these kind of cowboys just kind of roam these like big open expanses and kind of you have that wide scope of like a Sergio Leone film. Sorry,
I got you. Did you you see Bone Tomahawk?
I'm not.
Yeah, you should see that. It's the same guy that did Brawl and Cell Block 99 and
Okay.
Drag the Girls Concrete.
Okay.
Um, kind of like it's half western, half horror, and and has wonderful dialogue.
Cool.
Let me play this real quick. I don't know if the sound's gonna work, guys. I'm a boomer when it comes to this. If it doesn't, I'm gonna go ahead and pre-apologize to my guests. Go watch it yourselves. Go because you're gonna go back it anyway. Watch it and back it.
Yeah, so I can narrate this since we don't hear anything. So yeah, this is Wade, our main character. It's his horse Bonnie. Um, yes, yes. There's so much plot that's unfolding in that video. But yeah, so basically our main character Wade, he lives this very quiet life in this remote town called Caldera. He has this kind of lingering past. One of his former rovers was abducted by an alien on the far side, and he sort of just had to leave him there. And so he's sort of haunted by the idea that he might still be out there somewhere. And so Wade's build this charger ranch. Chargers are what we call these robotic horses, and they're mostly used for tourists, just to kind of have the experience of roaming around, the kind of the flats of the moon essentially. And then the government called Saros, they come in and they're saying, hey, one of our main components that kind of harvests the helium-3, it's gone offline, and we need some discretion. We can't just send robots that are like on the books. We need to send these outlaws who've have this experience of doing these types of missions in the past, because their their original job, their original purpose was to break ground, and they don't need them so much anymore. So these rovers are also battling against modernity of their time, where everything is just very automated, and their main purpose, their main function, which kind of got them out to the moon in the first place, is like slowly going away. So they're it's just a really kind of a struggle of just kind of maintaining the quiet life that they've built in these quiet towns, and then just trying to keep the government off their back in the process.
We've seen how that works.
Yeah. It's very easier said than done.
I love it looks as though the color palette kind of changes with the moon.
Yeah, the story is told in lunar phases. So yeah,
okay,
so
that's the red here then.
yeah, so we start in this is like what you'll see eventually, but this is with a very low light, and as the story progresses, things get brighter and brighter, and then a lunar eclipse happens, and the palette becomes like completely red. We do a lot with the light, and pay attention to which direction it's coming in from and where they're headed. So that's a big component that we focus on.
I really like the art style.
Yeah.
This is another thing that I'm not a huge fan of modern comic art and colors particular. This is not that. Like to me, everything on the shelf looks like the sunset for some reason, and there's like light bursts for no reason anywhere. This looks like something that would basically look awesome on newspaper print. Like this,
cool.
yeah. This looks. I really like the here. There's even little things that he left in here, like these little white circles here.
That's the artifact that's the artifact of the video. But I put like a little.
Okay.
There's a little film grain on.
I got you.
On there.
I paused it the exact second it clicked.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway. Yeah, that part's not in there. But when you see the actual like interiors on the campaign page, you'll see that's. But everything else, like for lack of a better term, sort of splotchiness.
Yeah.
That kind of creates a very creates more dynamic range in the colors.
Well, I dig the horse designs, and I assume are these robots? They're fighting these other masked guys.
Yeah, these are rovers. Yep.
This is really cool. This reminds me of like old school sci-fi.
Yeah. We did a thing with the cowboy hat. So we didn't want to just like plop the hat on a space helmet, so we wanted to kind of have a good reason for it. Yeah. So when they pull it forward, it becomes this like face shield that also looks like a bandit mask, and when they flip it back up, it turns into a cowboy hat.
Nice. So that's what this dividing line right here is.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Since the bulk of the story takes place on the lunar surface, and they're always going to be outside, I wanted them to have their cowboy hats, because that's it's a big visual component of westerns. This is not a story in which someone's in a city hub somewhere, and then they could just be anywhere. They're actually out there.
I love the texture here on the horses here.
The horses are they're inspired by the Boston Dynamic robots. That we kind of use that as a framework, and then infused it with like a motorcycle chopper culture. The suggestion here is that rovers customize their own chargers. So each outlaw that you meet in the story, the design of their charger is actually more unique to them and their sensibilities. So yeah, it creates more unique designs for each rover, each charger that you see.
That's really cool, and like that's something I've talked with some people about before. Is I can't stand the Appleification of technology, which is everything is smooth and white. It's like everything's Apple. This is what I think of when I think of like how tech, like especially like comic book or fantasy tech should be. This is really cool. Like, it's almost like chainmail and scales.
Yeah. Yeah, we like we're after believability. That's kind of a huge component. I mean, Star Noir does that too, in its own way. But with this, especially with the tech, it needed to come from some grounded place, not just be just this totally made up thing.
I just this artist, which it's funny because I saw you say it on Julius. His last name is Horseman.
Yeah, yeah, Luke Horseman.
He's really good.
Yeah, he draws Judge Dredd for 2000 AD. Um,
Ah, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's incredibly talented. He actually found me because he followed me because of Star Noir, and he was like liking a bunch of posts, and then I was looking for an artist, and yeah, his stuff really caught my eye. It reminded me a little bit of like Danny Warren Johnson.
mhm.
I thought it was really impressive, and also his last name was Horseman, so thought it'd be kind of humorous if, if we did a western together and his last name is Horseman.
I love the textures, man. Like I know I'm
Mm.
harping on it, but like colors and
Yeah.
texture are my big because I'm not an artist, but my
Mm.
big thing for comic art. Those are the two things, and those are the two things that to me are lacking in most comics. And this
Yeah,
actually looks really cool.
yeah, Gonzalo, the colorist, yeah, he does this. A lot of his portfolio, it's a very blended style.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say like in Star Noir, that one's very proper. Like everything's got a perfect place, but he's not afraid to let some colors bleed a little bit. And I really like the aesthetic that it gives to the comic book.
Well, I'm sure you can get an all-star team like that whenever you're Alan Moore. So
Oh God! Oh no!
I had to do that, man.
That stuff is crazy because it's like I consider myself a very cynical writer. I am only confident about books that are already in readers' hands that have like outwardly gushed about how good they are.
Yeah.
But just day to day, it's just like no, I'm only as good as until I'll be until the next book is out and they're like they love it and they're like okay great I'm still fooling them. But yeah, no, that Alan Moore stuff that's just kooky bananas.
For the record, it seemed to me you were just saying even if someone like Alan Moore, as good as him or him himself, were here, he would
Yeah,
go overlooked. Not that
yeah,
X, I am Alan Moore.
yeah, yeah. All it requires to consider me Alan Moore is a total misreading of a tweet.
Well, it's quite the compliment.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
one day you'll have a
listen,
wizard beard.
I'll listen. I'll take it. I don't believe in any serpent gods yet, but give me enough time, maybe I'll come around.
I haven't had a divine experience with the serpent yet.
Yeah. So
All right, you've done a good job going over this. I do want to show this to people though. It's only Wade Gallows, great name. That's a
yeah,
really great old western name.
yeah.
Tombstone, Deadwood. I never finished Deadwood, but I need to. Sergio Leone's.
Yeah, Deadwood. They canceled it really abruptly, and so the third season kind of really the plot really just slams on the brakes because they didn't realize they were going to be finished. But then they came back to do a movie to tie up some loose ends, which helped. But
Awesome.
dialogue wise, Deadwood is incredible.
Now this is what I like a lot. These
Mhm.
backgrounds, especially this, because like that's something um, Josh and I do a lot. Is I tell him I hate like white space on papers.
Oh yeah, huh?
Like I feel like I've wasted my money if I open a comic and there's just like squares and then a bunch of white stuff on the background. This is cool. This is
Cool.
like reminding me like what kind of comics did you get into? Like what like you've got like a pretty good eye for this stuff if you're contributing to this as well.
Honestly, it's all of I think even with Star Noir, I think a lot of old school comics, like a lot of Will Eisner, like a lot of the old like Alan Moore stuff. A lot of that stuff where like visual storytelling was front and center and being
Mhm.
absorbed in the art first. And of course, you wanted to have a good story. But yeah, I think I'm more influenced by a lot of the kind of old school ways of making comic books. And there's also modern comics that are a little bit flashier, and I think I just try to find kind of like a merger of the two of just kind of that old school vibe of how they used to make comic books, but also put a little bit of that like modern flair on it.
that's a good description because I kind of see that, and that's what I was looking at with your that's it, with your dialogue placement and
Mhm.
dialogue choice. Like this is a good amount of dialogue, I think, because like I mean this is blasphemy, I know, but like I have a hard time even getting through like a lot of Chris Claremont books because it's just walls of text,
Yeah.
and I love it. I mean, I've got Dostoevsky up there. I don't mind text, but when I'm looking at a comic, I don't want walls of text.
Well,
And
yeah. Well,
well,
Alan Moore suggested about 35 words or less per panel. So I
too bad he uses 200 to describe the first panel of his books to his
yeah. But he mentioned that in a book, and I was like, all right, I'll start counting words.
Gordon Goodbrother, thanks for coming by me. He said I was working on
Hey.
Alan Moore beard before my lady nagged it off. That's all right. Dude, my hair used to be down to here
Whoa.
before my lady nagged it off, and that was like
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago. But now my son, who's 2, he's got like the huge curly hair like I did, and of course she loves it. And I'm like, well, I had it too, but you know, yeah, I think this is cool, man. Like we have people on whose work we like and we think it's cool. We're not a promo channel, so
Yeah.
we're not here to blow smoke up people's butts. This looks cool.
Cool. Thank
Like
you.
again,
Yeah. Yeah.
my biggest thing is this doesn't feel like I'm looking at white space. This looks
Yeah.
like I'm getting a story. It looks like I'm getting art as well.
Yeah.
Is this
There's
a
yeah.
uh,
There's 6 books in this series.
okay?
This is the first book. Each
That was
book
my
is
next
gonna.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to step on you. Yeah. There's 6 books. Each one's gonna be about 50 pages long. So they're very very meaty chapters. Yeah, yeah, and then just like Star Noir, we try to make sure that each book has a lot going on, so you feel like you really kind of got something. You got a full plate of something good. Because I just as a comic book reader, I just don't like getting to the end of a floppy or a chapter of a book, and I just feel like, oh, one thing happened and nothing else.
Oh
So
yeah,
there's definitely a lot to pack into each book.
man. I say this and I don't mean it as an insult because I'm gonna say it in my southern accent. That's why I don't mean it. It just sounds like that. But you do seem like a Hollywood guy. Like I said, I don't mean it as an insult. Like you've got a vast array of influence here. Like Star Noir is clearly like it's a noir, of course.
Hmm.
It's got an alien idea in it. Part of it is a detective story, and you're jumping into like space westerns here. Like
Mhm.
this feels like you were like a guy I met that grew up on like 1950s television.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of the, whether it's an old book, an old comic, an old film, I think there's like a reason why a lot of these things stand the test of time, and I just think that, despite their limitations of the time of when they're made, like they're just very, the fundamentals are just executed at such a high level. And all I do is just kind of study what has stood the test of time and try to emulate that. I never chase a trend. I don't see the point in that. I just I make books and I tell stories that like I genuinely want to tell.
I mean, you're not gonna do a gender swapped Wyatt Earp.
No, no, I'm not. I don't think that'll happen.
Well, you should consider it, man. That's what this book needs. If you consider putting more boobs on the cover,
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, if I just had 8 porno covers, then we'll just go right to the top. That's that's the game in 2025.
this is cool though, man. Like it's really cool. God, I'm just really curious. Like how did you I know you told me how you got your artist and your colorist work before, but how did you assemble the team from the start? Like how did you build Star Noir? Like that wasn't your first book, but Reloader was, I believe you said.
Yeah, Reloader was the first one.
How did you do that?
How Reloader and Star Noir came together is kind of the same process. There's a Facebook group called Connecting Artists and Writers, and I remember for Star Noir just putting a post out looking for artists, and a bunch of artists reached out.
How many of them
Pablo.
were real though?
What?
How many of them were real?
A good number of them. They had very extensive portfolios. It was just like there's a lot of work for a scam. But then Pablo was one of them, and he was very very good. For Star Noir, there was another artist. His name is Christian Rossi. He was going to be the original artist of Star Noir, but then he got like a DC a job opportunity, and then Pablo stepped forward, and that's how Star Noir kind of got put together. And but Luke kind of just sort of fell in my lap. He just he just happened to be looking at Star Noir art, and I really liked his art style, so I reached out to him.
I like this picture here, which we're talking about customizing. I think
Yeah,
this style almost reminds me of the old school Transformer Dinobots design.
yeah. I
Yeah,
can see that for sure.
how how it was angular, but it was smooth. But whenever you turned it to one side, it was angular, kind of like this.
Hmm.
These are some cool these are some cool tiers, man.
Yeah.
So do all fulfillment by yourself, like from your house?
Yeah. Me and my girlfriend, or my girlfriend and I, sorry, grammar police. Um, yeah, just on the coffee table, just fulfilling 200 to 300 books. Um, but I mean, luckily it's it's just it's a couple weekends a year, and once it's out, it's out. And then we spend most of our time just I spend most of my time just sitting in a hot office, working on the next book.
Oh yeah, this is technically my office right now, but it's going to be my son's room. I'm having to build an office outside because I've been sharing this one with my wife for like 5 years, and
Mm.
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah,
Cole says Pablo does great work. Cole, is there anyone
yeah.
in comics you don't know? Like Cole is awesome, man. Has shown us great love.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
given
yeah.
us
Cole's
yeah, he's
he,
great.
he's backed my books. He backed Star Noir. He's already backed Moonshine. Yeah, he's just great.
Yeah, he's a solid dude.
Thank you for their support, Cole. Yeah.
This is a lot of stuff, man. Like you come
Yeah.
out swinging. This is what really impressed me about everything with this is this feels solid. Like there's nothing about it where I'm like, I don't know, this kind of like sometimes you feel like a kind of waffling when you look at a campaign.
Well, if you're gonna jump in the pool deep end, that's where you got to go. Just really kind of swing for the fence. I don't like, just as a principal, somebody that doesn't fully commit to what they're doing. If you're gonna do something, go the full nine.
I agree, man, and that's another thing I would love to do a deep dive with you in and with you and BA because
Hmm.
he kind of lives by that same idea as well. And I think that's I'm not gonna to preach too much here because like people can see it on my Twitters all the time. I'm sure is I think art's special. I think art's sacred. I think art demands something from you, and if you're half-assing it or if you're trading it for money, like people can tell.
Yes.
I
For
think
sure.
something. I think you need to go all out, and I think you need to, as you said, swing for the fences, and you need
Hmm.
to risk looking like a moron. And you
Yeah.
haven't looked like a moron, but everyone has to. You have to risk that. You have to risk pissing people off. You have to risk basically being disagreeable, not an
Mhm.
asshole, but disagreeable to do anything worthwhile. You know.
Yeah. I definitely. It seems the more books I, the more books I make, the more people I piss off on the internet.
Well, you can't be too bad if like you have people working with you to make cool stuff like this.
Well, yeah, no. When we're working, we're always because I'm always just trying to give my art team something in the middle to hit so they can drive the baseball 400 feet. So yeah, I'm always just trying to set them up to really kind of just show what they do best.
Do you get to work with them in person at all? Or is it all like
No,
long distance?
it's all online. It's all long. This Luke is he's from the UK. So I have to give notes, in relation to his time zone.
You have to spell color with a U.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Like I
impressive, man. That's
like
really impressive.
there's a bar scene in the beginning of the first book of Moonshine, and when I was doing the notes, I had to change it to pub because it's just so he would feel more at home.
Does he know what a cowboy is?
I think so. I mean, he said when I asked him about this, he was like, "I really love westerns." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So he's definitely seen a western or two.
You said Peaky Blinders, but with better hats.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
impressive, man. Because Josh and I live. I used to live in the same town as him, but we live about 3 hours apart now. But
Mhm.
when we work on something, I like make a point to like drive down there for like a weekend or two, work with him in person. I have never worked with an artist long distance before with no physical communications. That's crazy to me that you could get a vision like this done without being in person.
Yeah, I mean we did it with 3 books of Star Noir so far, and now we're doing it here with Moonshine.
Is there a
Yeah.
I think there's a catch up tier for Star Noir as well.
Yeah, this one has a Star Noir. It says it's got to add on as a catch up tier. It's one of the add-ons you can do.
Gotcha.
So Man on the Moon, that's the physical book to jump in. We also we created a print that's based on the Akira poster.
Mhm.
It's kind of a
Pull that
suggestion
up.
made to me by an artist at a convention to create at least one pop culture print with your character infused with it.
There we
So
go.
yeah, so we created 2 sizes. One can be mailed with the comic book. It's about 6x9, and the other one's more of a big poster size, 11x17. And then the letterer went to the extra mile to like do the actual Japanese lettering that you see on that Akira poster.
Yeah. That screwed me up with our first or second campaign where I printed pictures that were bigger than the original mailers we had gotten.
Oh yeah,
like posters, and I had to like go back, cancel that order, go back and redo it. That was embarrassing. But
yeah.
that's a good idea where you're like, no, this one will mail, this one will mail later.
Yeah. Because I mean, I learned that when I did like a 1940s pinup that was very small. It's right there over my shoulder. You can barely see it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was you could slip it in with the comic, and people really kind of liked that as a alternative entry point if they didn't want a whole poster.
Well, man, I'm trying to promote instead of just going down rabbit holes. But again, like I
love,
want to
love
see
rabbit
like
holes.
I want to see like your film collection, dude. Like I want to see like your book collection because like again, like what I'm getting from a lot of this is that you have an extensive knowledge of art and it's coming out through comics. I get it, but like
Mhm.
man, you've got to like start doing movies or something. Like you've got to
Yeah,
make some short films.
maybe. I mean, a lot of the books I read are books on writing. Like that's it's a very it's a very boring library. Yeah. Yeah, one of them is right here on my desk. It's called Into the Woods by John York.
Hmm.
It's kind of analyzing 5 act story structure. Yeah, I have books that are just like just about dialogue. There's books that are about emotional character arcs. Basically, anytime there's some notable book on story structure that I haven't read, I'm like, yep, let's read that. Let's get all that. Let's take notes on it. Let's absorb it, so that I can kind of put it into the story that I'm working on.
So what other stuff are you, if you don't mind me asking, are you working on any other creative endeavors outside of comics?
No, not outside of the comics. I'd love to do more work on my YouTube channel. I did pretty well. The videos that I had made, I have a lot of ideas because it was basically analyzing story structure in video
Hmm.
games. And video games in the last, I would say, 10 years have started to become like more cinematic. So you can now actually like discuss the storytelling merits of these stories, because before it was just like the gameplay and if there was a story, whatever. But now I think since like The Last of Us or something, they really tried to go for more Hollywood type storytelling.
Yeah, and there's mixed. I get mixed feelings on that because when I play a game, I don't care about the story, but
Yeah.
I have always loved stories outside of the game when I'm not playing it. Like I would always catch up on it or watch YouTube videos on it, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So to me, it's kind of interesting that they're combining the two in ways recently where it doesn't feel invasive. It doesn't feel like it's interrupting the game.
Yeah. They still lead with the gameplay. It's just nice that it's not. Shaquille O'Neal knows kung fu, and this is a side scroller beat 'em up.
My man just dropped Shaq Fu references.
Uh,
Yeah, that's funny. I played that game once. I rented it from a store called Finkley's, which is like a ripoff of a Blockbuster at the time.
yeah.
And like I got home and I spent like my all my allowance on it, and I was like, God, this game sucks. Like it was like the worst weekend. I had to, like take it back Monday morning. I was all pissed. And, like I could have gotten like Jordan versus Bird or whatever else like Super
Yeah.
Nintendo game at the time.
Yeah.
It
It's
ruined my
definitely
weekend as a kid.
it's definitely one of the more goofy games that they made during that era. But yeah, no, just to, I think because of how intensive it is to make these books, just in terms of like the research and the level of detail and accuracy that we want to get into it, because experience is kind of the major thing. Like I want the, for 50 pages for that time to fly by. So there's just like
Mhm.
a lot of work that goes into creating that immersion. So a lot of my work is tied up in Star Noir and Moonshine. Most days the work is like coming out of a fire hose. So it's tough to kind of have extra creative endeavors outside of the comic books, at least for now.
Well, how do you? And like this is getting to the nerd stuff, but that's what I like, and we don't have to. But
Mhm.
how do you write and edit, or do you edit as you write, or do you edit afterward?
So I write the whole script. So, we have a firm plan as to where we're going, and we know what each book does. And then as the art pages come in and the artists make choices, I make little audible choices here and there. Just, we need some dialogue in this one panel. Actually, we don't need to actually, be so on the nose with this dialogue in this panel because the visual is very strong. It conveys a lot without having to say much. And just, yeah, just trying to find more symmetry with the artist.
I find that as well. I find that a lot of the times what you think a page needs as soon as the art comes in, what I found routinely is that it needs less words,
Yeah.
less dialogue, and that the art does it itself.
Yeah.
This team you've assembled here, are these going to
Yeah.
be guys on every issue you plan so far?
Yeah. They're
Good.
just like Star Noir. It's they know the deal from the very beginning that this is sort of a big endeavor that they're taking on. And they're all excited. They've all read the script. I mean, Luke was like, "This is like a brilliant story." Like he was very into it. Like he really loved what he was reading. He thought that I hit all of the key Western bits really well, and even flipped a lot of tropes on its ear. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so he was very into it. I mean, because this is essentially a suicide mission that these guys go on, and a lot of graves are made along the way, and it's one of those things where a lot of outlaws leave and very few come back.
I think that's awesome, man. I think
Yeah.
the way that you've gotten a fully fleshed out character that you're dropping into a story is very interesting because a lot of the modern writing, it seems to me, is if I say the Surf Dracula reference, you get that.
No, I
All right,
don't think.
it was a viral tweet, and this guy said, if in the 70s, if there was a show called Surf Dracula, he would be surfing every week.
Hmm.
If it came out like today in the streaming era, the entire first season will be a flashback about how he got his surfboard. Then he would surf 10 minutes in the last
Oh,
episode.
oh God.
And but it's so true. Like that is how
Yeah.
story structure is now. But what I'm feeling with this, especially your characters, it feels like when I open this is going to
Mhm.
be a character I'm looking at. I don't have to have a whole bunch of exposition telling me who this guy is. This is going
No.
to be a set person. You can tell their personality from the start, and then it goes.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the books that I've really liked over the years. I keep coming back to is the Will Eisner's Dropsy Avenue stories.
Yep.
It's the rise and fall and rebirth of a New York City neighborhood during the Depression, and a lot of it is a lot of the emotion that comes through. A lot of the storytelling is visual first. And I really kind of adopt that, not just with Star Noir, but Moonshine as well, where it's just you want the reader kind of invested first visually, and just the I feel like the dialogue is there just to make sure that you're not lost, that that you have just enough to keep turning the page.
Well, and again, I know I'm jumping all over the place because I like talking with you. So
Mm.
I'm going to go with
Yeah, I
it.
like talking with you, man.
The the audio drama is kind of coming back on YouTube. I see like a lot of guys doing this. Have you considered doing anything like that?
The audio, what's that audio?
Like I know people that have written fantasy stories that are converting it into audio drama series. Like they'll read like they'll have like a voice actor read the story like
Hmm.
chapter by chapter, and they'll make that an episode, and they'll put like some art over it behind it, kind of like
Interesting.
old radio stories.
Oh
You're
yeah.
you're a writer. Have you considered, like, especially in this modern age, doing something like that, like maybe audio dramas on your site?
Maybe I could try that. I mean, I do with the videos. I do a lot of like voiceover work that I
Yeah.
do myself. So I can do an Orson Welles War of the World type of thing.
just
you know.
eating ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be fun.
I'm kind of, I don't know, man. I'm just saying that you seem like you know what you're doing, and you seem like a guy that could write more. I'm like, I guess I'm issuing that challenge to you. Like, I would like to see that from you. I would like to see an audio drama.
Okay, cool. Like, all right.
Not to be a douche, but I'm like, I think Tony could do that. Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a matter of scheduling, not so much interest. You
it's
know.
just you just gotta you just it's the girlfriend. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. I gotta figure out how to do these 2 books, and still figure out how to have a normal life outside of comic books.
There isn't one. It's done.
You know, God forbid I cause a kerfuffle on Twitter. That's more time that goes out the window.
You gotta find a way to monetize it. Apparently, that's what it is. That's what we're missing.
What is it? What do they say? Like, monetize your haters. What is it? Whatever that
I don't know.
weird jargon is.
I don't have the energy for haters.
I don't know. I just make the comic books and then try not to.
I'm making a comic.
Yeah.
So how many issues is Star Noir going to be? Do you have an ending for it?
It's 6, so we're almost done with the 3rd one. That's going to be shipped out, and then it's like right after that, it's just immediately like working on the 4th book. No breaks, just jumping right in. Because again, like I mentioned with Moonshine, like everything is written, so we know exactly what the roadmap is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like once the artist is done, once Pablo's done with the final page of book 3, right on to 4, so we can do that Kickstarter.
Oh, Cole said, I love audio dramas. I worked on one for a few years and really enjoyed it. The editing is a grind, though.
Yeah, I could imagine that. Yeah. Just the cutting out the ums and ahs and the breaks, and maybe
The
if you want
sneezing,
to, the sneezing. Maybe if you want to put like a filter on it to make you sound more interesting.
yeah. You gotta have the Japanese girl voice plug in
Yeah,
if you really want to sell.
Yeah. Is there
That's
any
awesome,
way?
Cole.
Is there any way to do audio boobies? I don't know.
Like VTuber crap.
Yeah.
Gordon, because that's funny. The pizza. I'm making a pizza.
Yeah.
Well, what do you? Are you okay? So when Star Noir is done and Moonshine's catching up, are you going to replace Star Noir with something else, or are you just going to like have a breather, finish Moonshine, and then go from there?
I have a couple of options. I'm just kind of waiting to see which way the wind blows to decide which direction. Star Noir has other permutations. There's a New York one that is it's like 1886, something like that. It's very old New York. Just kind of old speakeasies and the abandoned subways that we used to have. Just kind of because I live in New York City, so there's just so much history that I want to kind of go back on and then try to do a Star Noir version, set there. There's also kind of introspective stuff that I have that kind of tries to kind of I try to go. I'd make an attempt at going more philosophical, just kind of existential, like
Whoa, now.
Yeah, try. There are stories that are very more like who not who am I as Tony, but who are you as an individual, and I have a pretty good high concept for that I'd like to tell as well. But everyone really likes Star Noir, so I'd love to make more Star Noir stuff. I love to make Moonshine, so it's really just kind of what is the next 6 months? What does that shake out? How do readers feel after that?
I was laughing while you were talking about like 1800s New York. I was like, he's gonna be the alien beating up a bunch of Irishmen.
Yeah.
You got was it the Billy the Butcher mustache going on?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was gonna ask where the accent was, and it sounds like it sounded like New York. Mine is clearly Southern. So I apologize for my drawl.
No, it's good. It's good. It's I'll remember the cadence for characters in Moonshine.
What's up, Crenshaw?
Oh, Crenshaw.
How you doing, man?
Yeah,
I think you got a lot of awesome potential here, man. Like I'm really excited to get this. Like I pick up very few indie books, and it's not because they're indie. It's because I pick up very few comics, to be honest. I usually go for like novels now because I can get a classic for like $3 at the local store.
Cool.
I will be picking up Moonshine whenever I get paid, and I'm gonna try to catch up on Star Noir as well.
Cool.
I think you got this really cool stuff, man. This genre jumping is really interesting to me because like
Hmm.
I don't know, just from talking with you, and especially the way you phrase things, the way you carry yourself, like I feel like there's a safety net that you're going to handle these things really well, and that's why I was like half joking, but really was pushing like the not to do it, but the idea of an audio drama or something else. Like I really feel like you have this elasticity and capability in you. I think you have great potential, is what I'm saying.
Oh, cool. I will relay that to my girlfriend so that in a moment of cynicism, she will remind me that, hey, Godfo said all these things. Do you want to? He doesn't owe you anything, so remember that.
She's like, who?
Yeah. No, I relay a lot of the Twitter conflict, so she's really familiar with all the
Oh
characters,
God.
including you, BA, and so she's familiar.
It'd be funny if she's like under like four different accounts, just stirring drama
Yeah.
from like four different places, just
Yeah,
contradicting
I mean,
herself.
sometimes she's like, "I'll jump in on Twitter." I'm like, you do not want to talk to these people. These people, some of these guys are just certifiably out of their minds.
You're like, I don't want to talk to these people.
I'm trying to figure out ways to like talk to them less.
Well, speaking of that, do you go to conventions a lot?
Yeah, yeah. A couple months back went to Brooklyn Comic Con. There was a Brooklyn Comic Con there. This Friday, I'm going to Connecticut to Mohegan Sun. They do a convention called Terrificon. This is a big sci-fi convention, so I should do pretty well considering I have two between the Reloader Cyberpunk comic and Star Noir, and then also Moonshine would be still running when I'm out there, so
Are
should
you
do
sure
pretty
you can
well.
do well without a website?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll have a website eventually. Even the artists that I work with, even they have websites. But the reality is that I have two Indiegogo campaigns that are still in demand. I have a late pledge Kickstarter that's still running, and I get new readers through that all the time. And
Yeah.
it's paying the convenience fee of the Indiegogo and Kickstarter hosting it for me. Well, then I don't have to like spend the time investment building a website and stuff like that. So I mean, eventually, as I kind of finish more books, then yes, it would make more sense to have a website. But right now, it's just not cost effective.
Nah, I'm just giving you hell, man.
Yeah, well, I know. Apparently, everything that I do is very important and must be talked about. Even though much prefer the silence.
I think it's I just think it's a cool idea, man. I think beyond this, I really like the just the multiple worldviews you're building. Like I said, it seems to me like you have studied especially character
Mhm.
because that's what multiple worlds and crisscrossing tells me as an artist is that there's someone who has multiple views of things to work out and say and do. And because I've seen the arguments, people are like, "Oh, genre jumping is like stupid or whatever,"
Mhm.
but that's always money based. It's always that people are looking for one thing that sells and then they maximize it.
Right.
To me,
Yeah.
what I see is that you as a writer are spreading your wings more and more and more because you're like, these ideas I have will not fit in one thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's Star Noir is it's essentially a period piece, so there's just a lot of restriction in terms of like how you showcase that world. But Moonshine lets me kind of flex my creativity a little bit. But both of those stories require. I mean, for me, I want them to have some believability. So the approaches to how we make each one grounded are both different. I mean, one is got a lot of historical references, but the other one is just, well, how do we take modern technology and kind of futurize it, so it kind of has some sort of groundedness and believability to it.
I'm not trying to beg the question, but do you find that you have to go in the past or to a different timeline or to the moon or something like that to get away from the modern writing and the modern world to do anything interesting? Because I find that in myself.
How do you mean? I'm confused.
It it, the modern, if you wanted to do something that took place now in our modern world, it would seem like it'd be very vapid. There's iPhones everywhere. our the way we speak is kind of crappy compared to how they did back in the day. It's not very fantastical to put something in the modern day.
Yeah, it's yeah, modern and telling something in a modern setting would be very painful for me. Very very vanilla. There's just, there's nothing of there's nothing interesting about our modern world for me.
No, but and that's what I was thinking. Picking up
Yeah.
on this is like, I feel the same way. And it's, I mean, it's very sad and barren, and I think maybe we need to get out of that in some way. But I find myself fleeing to different eras and different genres for doing that as well, because it would be very easy to write something very vanilla and very, Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
and I see a lot of it, and I'm very tired of it.
Yeah.
It seems like people who actually read, in particular, want to branch out into different places and to different things. And I mean, Tolkien himself had to go
Mm-hmm.
back, to like Nordic traditions to find anything that he connected with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, that's not like a return with a V sentiment I'm trying to share. It's just, and if I'm wrong, tell me. But I was just picking that up basically from you, I think,
Yeah.
before you confirmed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I just, you just love the challenge. You love the challenge of trying to kind of understand a world that you're not a part of, and just, trying to figure out like what's believable about that. What could a reader, reading it now, like here on Earth and not on the moon, what could they connect with? That still fits with that world and that story, with that the world and that story that's being told.
Well, that's the thing is like I saw someone posted a long, more articulate post than I
Mm.
could have about it. But to sum it up, like if I open up a book or a comic and I see millennial dialogue, I close it.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it. If I see a meme reference or a YouTube reference, or this person is talking like someone at Starbucks, like I can't read it. It's just that's not what literature is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I feel that when I was reading your pages here, I was like, okay, Tony actually knows dialogue in different voices.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Mhm. I mean, well, the one thing that I don't like is when you like read something and it just sounds like the author. Like they're
Yeah.
just, they didn't even like make an attempt to like mask their own voice. And I think, because I spend a lot of time developing, who these characters are before I start writing their dialogue. They're very fleshed out, multidimensional characters, and there is a voice, just in the sense that, like, a cynic is going to sound different than an optimist if they're talking. And sometimes I'll even try to, like, do like a fantasy, casting with actors, just to kind of have the actor's voice in my ear, so that it kind of further separates from what I sound like. I mean, none of these characters are like me. Like I think, like I
They're
think
not
I
Alan
can.
Moore.
No, no, I'm not. Yeah, none of these characters are like me at all. I mean, I'm sure subconsciously maybe there's elements that kind of find their way in there, but I'm very cognizant of trying to just not make it sound like it's me. Just try to really kind of make these very separate characters.
Well, I know from an art direction, there's the what they call the silhouette test, which
Mhm.
is, like if you can tell a character by the silhouette, or especially a group of them together, you've done a good job design.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's a term for this because I'm not educated on writing, and I should be, or writing theory, but I just call it the Seinfeld test. If
Mhm.
you have any situation, you have those four characters, you know how all four of those characters will react to it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think that's what you have to have when you're writing characters, is that if you throw a ball in this room, how all three characters or all four characters will react to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the exercises you do is remove the character names from the script. And when you read them,
Interesting.
they should all sound different. If they read kind of similar, you have some problems, and you have to kind of deepen it further.
I need to try that. I had a guy I'll send you a link. This isn't self promotion. We had a guy named Brad
Mhm.
Kelly on, who's written at least a book or two, and he's brilliant. He's a great guy, great artist, and he hosts a podcast on authors, and they go through books and stuff. But his exercise was he records himself reading the dialogue out loud and
Okay.
then listens to it. Like I know you people read things out loud, but it pays off. Like if you read his book is House of Sleep. It does feel like every single word and every single sentence was like purposely crafted and articulated. And I'll send you a link to all that stuff.
Cool.
But Cole King, a lot of modern comic books have that issue of all the characters sounding the same. That's true, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I did not. Tom King did a run on Batman.
I'm sorry.
What?
I said I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, I read. I mean, because I really like Batman as a character, and reading Tom King's work, it was just like Tom King is a very depressed person, and he wanted to make Batman a very depressed person. You're like, this is not exciting to read.
I tried reading his Batman Catwoman run strictly because the covers that were amazing, and he brought back the Phantasm, and
Mhm.
it was the biggest load of crap I'd ever read. I was like $30 deep in this series, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't
Yeah.
read this. Just,
Yeah. And another thing that helps me kind of make more at least more naturalistic sounding dialogue. My final draft has a feature where it kind of reads voices in a very robotic voice. So like when you have a very terrible piece of dialogue, a robotic voice makes it sound even worse. Uh, so a lot of times, like I'll just, I'll set the voices, I'll let the script run, and I'll turn my chair around, so I'm just hearing the robotic voices.
yeah.
And every time a very corny line comes up, like I'll just turn around and I'll like my own personal version of the voice, where I just turn around and you're like, I don't like that dialogue. Let's mark that.
You should
Yeah.
use it. You should use that program to annoy your girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The
But
difference between a Netflix period piece like Bridgerton and something well written Gilded Age.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because I tried watching because it was like a thing or whatever. I tried watching part of Bridgerton. I was like, oh god, this is awful. Like, that's how a lot of things are, man. Like that's especially like a lot of CW dialogue. And I used to have this problem anytime in a show or movie where a woman had a vocal fry. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is going to be the worst dialogue you've ever heard. And I
Yeah.
don't know like, what it is, but there's something about that, like when you hear them saying that, it's like, oh, this is going to be like dog shit dialogue.
Yeah, there's when it comes to character in a lot of modern art, it's very it's a CWification. Like everything's got to be like this slice of life, and like I don't know, sometimes I just wonder like if anybody makes real things anymore, and they just kind of want to make something very easy. I mean, listen, people like that stuff, so if you want to make a slice of life CW thing, that's fine. It's I'm not interested in that in that type of thing.
Are you a Cormac McCarthy fan?
I I'm ashamed to say I don't know who that is.
He did The Road. He did
Oh yeah.
Blood Meridian.
Oh, The Road I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, his books are very masculine and
Hmm.
very, especially with the dialogue, and very brief. And I think you'd probably check it. I mean, and he goes everything from very, very bare bones, like something like The Road,
Hmm.
to Blood Meridian, which is kind of considered his magnum opus, which is almost biblical, and
Hmm.
it's phantasmagoria, which is a real word, but not in that sense.
Hmm.
Long story short, if you're a book guy, pick up anything by McCarthy. Child of God's a good one to start with,
Cool.
but especially his dialogue, it's very natural. It feels like he actually heard people talk. Very informal. But
I got a little bit of that when I was reading the James Elroy books for Star Noir.
mhm.
You
Oh
know a lot.
god, you just unlocked a memory, James Elroy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard that name dropped in a long time, man.
Yeah. So like, yeah, when they
I gotta look him up again. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he really his characters are really very, very tough as nails. The big nowhere
Yep.
that was the big nowhere was
Buzzard
the book.
Rover.
The big nowhere was the book I read before
Jazz.
I started writing Star Noir. Was the one I was like, this is great. I want to make something that kind of feels like this.
I think White Jazz is the one I read when I was living with my brother.
Mhm.
Because I know I've seen that. I know I've read one of these, because I know James Elroy, and I know,
Mhm.
yeah, I remember the Black Dahlia,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure White Jazz was one I read. Good God, that was probably like 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
God, man, that's a core memory you just unlocked.
You're welcome.
That and I forgot it was the other. It was like another crime one. It wasn't James Ellroy. It was a I forgot who did it. It was like Devil in the White City.
Mhm.
I forgot who
Um,
wrote that one.
Del-
Anyway,
yeah.
that's cool, man. That's what
Eric Larson.
that's why I'm glad you're here. Like, that's what I live for. Is like somebody dropping like a core memory that I've forgotten in art.
It was Eric Larson.
Eric Larson. That's it. He did several other ones as well.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of things that I used to love, man. Was any kind of especially like true crime before it became like a podcast genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when it was actually like guys reading the books, and it's like, oh my god, this is horrifically disturbing. I can't wait to read more.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in the big nowhere, the guy's got like a secret that's gonna come out, and he's like, I don't want to shoot myself because I don't want them to think I'm a coward. So he takes a kitchen knife and slices it on the throat. And you're like, Jesus, talk about an overcorrection.
It's like I don't know if I have like the capacity to do that. You probably pass out before it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
Cold
yeah, it's
King
crazy.
says, Outer Dark is a good. He's talking about McCarthy. Outer Dark is a good one to start with. Blood Meridian is the greatest American novel in my opinion.
Cool. All right, definitely check those out.
Well, man, I don't want to keep you, and I've got to finish up some work to go to bed. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this, Tony. I really want to. I'd like to make this happen again, especially if I can get BA on here as well.
Yeah, I was just talking to Julius. When we were done with the stream, we were like, oh, we got to do something with like you and BA. Have kind of a big deep dive discussion. I know there's people on the internet that don't really like deep dive discussions about art, but whatever. I enjoy them.
I do too, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I like talking to you guys. It's I don't I like talking to intelligent people.
Well, you won't find them here.
It's far easier. The conversations are a lot better and more productive. So
Yeah, I actually don't like debate. I've never
yeah,
cared for it. I don't like arguing. I think text just sounds meaner than I
yeah,
intend it sometimes.
yeah,
But anyway, everybody go check this out. Go back it. You know what's going to be good. Tony's proved himself. He finished multiple campaigns. People get their books. There's nothing like none of that crap to worry about.
and
You,
I keep you in the loop the entire time. I do regular updates, so you're always gonna hear
yep.
from me.
Everyone, this book looks awesome. I'm glad that you're over halfway there, man. That's really impressive.
Yeah,
With 16 days, because you're only running it for what, 30 days?
30 days. Yep.
God, that's really impressive, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's stressful, but it's we definitely get there every single time. I mean, the first day of this was like 2,700, and the first day of Star Noir Book 1 was just only $700.
That's awesome.
So we've taken quite a significant leap since the first Star Noir book.
And when was that? Like a year or two ago?
That was like the end of 2023. 2020.
Okay,
Yeah.
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 So not even 2 years.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a ride. It's a whole lot of hard work,
No,
but I'm glad that the readers are really into it. That's the most important thing for me.
no, man, that is objectively impressive, dude. Especially like for one guy to build up in like less than 2 years to build up to a $10,000 goal. Like, and
Yeah.
you're not playing the algorithm. You're
No.
not doing titty books or anything like that. That's really impressive to me.
Yeah, it's great that you say that because I feel like there's a lot of times, especially with the proliferation of titty books, it feels like a book like this one. It feels like pushing a boulder up a hill,
Yeah.
and meanwhile those guys are like kicking rocks up the tiny little pebbles up the hill. I mean, again, it's worth it. People are very engaged with it. They feel very immersed when they read these books. And that's what I do all the hard work for everyone to have a really great time and want to come back to read more books.
Yeah, that's like you're building like a portfolio of writing. And
Mhm.
if you don't mind me, I don't want you to dox yourself or anything, but like, how old are you, man?
I am in, let's say I'm in my 30s. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really impressive, man.
Yeah.
Like you've got like a nice work here. Like whenever these two series are done, like that's a better. I don't know. That's impressive. That's really cool. So yeah,
It's
everybody
just
go back this, go
yeah,
buy
yeah.
it, give Tony all of your money. And I look forward to talking to you again, man. We'll get up and yeah, I'd like to have a group chat with all you guys. I think that would be very edifying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look forward to that as well.
All right. Good night, everybody. Peace.
All right.